Hey. Hello, Rowan. How are you tonight?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you, Ginger?
I'm good. I've got a feeling you might be a little like floaty and high, quote unquote, after being in the tree chops.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like it kind of had sailor legs getting back onto the ground, and things were a little wobbly, but yeah,
So
it was.
today was your first lesson climbing in the trees, correct?
Yes. And I guess so. Today was my first climbing lesson, but it was raining and very, very windy. So we weren't able to go up into the actual trees, but I'm on a farm right now, and so they have a big barn that has old, beam rafters, and so we were able to throw our ropes up into the beams and climb up into those. And then when we were kind of hanging from one beam, we'd throw our lines over to the next beam and do a transfer. And so we were kind of playing Spider-Man around this barn all day long. And that was very cool.
That is absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So it
Okay, so
wasn't the trees, but it was a very close second.
well, and recap us. Sorry, I was just so excited to hear about your climbing that I didn't intro or anything. This is Rowan Mitchell. We've been following
Oh,
him
yeah.
for what, 3 months now? How long have you been gone?
Yeah. Yeah. So, so the ride itself was 80 days long. And I arrived last Saturday is when I got here on the farm. And so it was 2,844 miles from Nebraska up to the Olympic Peninsula. And then from there, I took the 101 down along the coast through Washington and into Oregon. And then at Seaside, Oregon, I shot inland. And now I'm in Oregon City, which is just kind of south of Portland.
Wow. You
Yeah.
have to feel so accomplished and independent and completely different. Like you are a different human than when you left Nebraska.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a lot different. Life feels a lot different. uh it's just it's a little hard to explain, really, and like all the different emotions. I was just kind of talking with my little brother last night, and I called him kind of when I got to the coast as well. And it was weird because when I got to the coast, I mean, yeah, I was feeling very accomplished and, all sorts of emotions, but it was kind of a strange feeling as well. And I honestly, even I have to apologize if I seemed kind of a little distant or absent-minded in our last talk. Still very much, I got to the ocean and it was like I had been working so hard to get there, and that was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. And then I got there and I was like, okay, now what? Like, I'm here. I don't have any plans, which is kind of a good thing, but kind of a little unsettling. And it was just, there was a lot of questions. And so I was kind of sorting through all of that and sorting through, I felt, yeah, I was obviously just ecstatic about getting to the ocean and riding that
Yeah.
far. But then it was like, okay, am I going to have to stop doing this for a little bit, which was kind of a weird thought to think about. And yeah, just so many uncertainties in kind of a different way than I've been dealing with on the trip. But then, just kind of I knew I just had to continue moving forward in one way or another. And so that's what I did. And then things started popping up and falling into place, and people started reaching out to me. And so, yeah, it all worked out very well to where I could come here and learn these incredible new skills that can kind of help set me up for adventures in the future.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like the adventures really stopped yet. I know I'm not moving around quite as much, but there's still, a lot of new experiences, a lot of new things to learn. And if I can keep that mindset of, just because you're not riding your bike every day doesn't mean that you've stopped. The adventure had stopped. that's kind of helped me settle in and continue pushing forward, even though I'm not physically moving anywhere.
It is absolutely uncanny that you just made that whole statement. I was having a phone call today with a friend of mine, catching up with her, telling her how right now I'm just in the spot where I'm not doing, so I don't know what to do. So I feel like I'm not doing, even
Mm,
though the not doing is doing. Like,
yeah,
being,
right.
to be still, to let your head clear, to not have a plan, but to get okay with that, to see actually what is working, what's coming up for you, what do you really want to do. And it just, I, sitting in my house in Nebraska, am in a similar situation to you when
Hmm.
you're out on the coast riding your bike. And I think there may be a lot of people in the country right now feeling that.
Oh, I definitely think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So are you working with
Yeah.
Tim Kovar for climbing?
Yeah. Yep. And Tree Climbing Planet is
Awesome.
his tree climbing school he started up. Yeah. And
Oh,
yeah, it's an honor to be able to do that as well. I mean, um, I think we've kind of talked about manifestation a little bit before, but I obviously I've heard about Tim a few years ago,
yeah.
and his tree climbing and how he came from the same town that we do, and so it's just kind of very inspiring and something that like I always watched from afar. I followed him on Instagram and things, but I was always like, okay, I don't know how to get out to Oregon for a class, how I would pay for the class. I don't want to, ask to live on in his house while I teach the class. Like, I don't want to cross those boundaries. How do I approach this situation? Um, and that had been something that, yeah, I've thought about for a really long time. And the more I started kind of coming out to the West Coast, the more it was in the back of my head. And I was kind of thinking, this is a possibility, but again, how do I approach him? How do I ask about classes? I need, some place to stay and kind of a place to work while I am stationary, so I can continue to kind of have that income. And so just a lot of questions, but I kept, thinking on it and kind of, just keeping doing what I was doing. And then it ended up that he actually reached out to me because he had been following my bike journey and everything, and first asked, do you need some work while you're out here? There's plenty of work on the farm, and so I was like, oh yes, like that's something that I've been looking for a while now, and so that was great. And then after that, he's like, well, I don't know if you're interested, but I have an opening in one of my classes that'll be a week after you get here. If that is interesting to you. And I was, my mind was
Yes.
blown. I was like, this is everything I've been thinking about for weeks now. And he just comes, and yeah, so just the way, obviously it wasn't just, there was zero effort in everything that happened to make it happen. I still had to, ride my bike out here and
Yeah.
go through trials and everything. But yeah, just another example of sometimes you're working towards things that you don't quite realize until you're there.
And
But
like,
yeah,
hold to that, man. Hold to that, because you're, like, those moments in life will happen where you lose sight of that magic.
mm,
And it's just that being silent, which for you, you weren't still while you were writing, but you
mm,
had some silence so you could hear the instinct of, I'm
mm-hmm,
supposed to turn here, I'm supposed to stay here. And in the end, he came and found you exactly the way you wanted, because you just
yeah,
listened to your inner compass.
mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. And sometimes that'll inner compass will, put you in a direction that you don't think you should be going, but really it's just a roundabout way to get someplace. And
Yep.
I might tell you to not move at all when you feel like you should be, but really, like, you might be just waiting for that whatever it is to kind of catch up to meet you at that spot. And so yeah, it's can be a lot harder to listen or sit when you're in that situation. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, constantly remind yourself. Yeah.
No, with the yoga school, I remember them talking with us about, how every step is an intention. Every step is taking you closer to something that's the best that you can dream of.
Hmm.
But you have to be still, because if you think about during the course of a day, all of the unintentional, sincere wishes we put out there. Oh, I wish traffic would slow down. Oh, I wish I had more money. Oh, I wish. So you're putting out thousands of them a day. And
Yeah,
they teach us that if you don't take time to sit still, how's it going to catch up with you? Like, these things are
exactly.
looking for you. They're trying to get to you, but you're always going. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
that's
what does your gut tell you now? Like, what's the next course of action when you're done working with Tim?
um uh, I again, I guess I really haven't thought out that far.
Cool.
Right now, it really does feel like, this right here is where I need to be right now. And so the plan is, I'll be taking this course, and that's a week long, and possibly a few more courses to kind of become a facilitator and a teacher of these skills, not just somebody that can do it myself. I'll share that skill and knowledge with other people.
Awesome.
The goal of what I want to do with this all. And then I'll also be kind of staying here through the winter months, and working on the farm to earn some cash and have, right now I'm in a RV, and so that's a little more shelter than a tent through this Oregon rain and cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm staying here and just kind of, learning and taking really kind of taking this as not just an opportunity to learn about tree climbing and things like that, but just kind of to connect even more with the trees and kind of talk with Tim and learn from him how he's taken tree climbing, not just as a sport, but he calls it, these courses are for inspirational tree climbing,
Yeah.
and to kind of get people out there. And it's not the case with every student, but the message I feel like he's trying to convey is, these trees are alive, they're aware. When we go out to them, kind of like you said, we have to take every step out to that tree with intention and with mindfulness, and kind of ground yourself into the woods that you're in. And yeah, just get up into the tree and, have a meditation there, and just kind of, you're being held up by nature. It's not just walking through it. You're up there being held
Yeah.
by the tree. So it just kind of opens your eyes and your heart and gives you a different relationship, I guess, with the natural world around you. And so, yeah, I just kind of want to learn and listen to what he has to say and share, and kind of take in as much as I possibly can, while also building my own experiences here. And yeah, I mean, there's so many different branches that life could go off into with this, and with bike touring again or something. I don't really know. So I'm just kind of taking it a day at a time right now, and seeing where life has me in the spring, and what adventurous opportunities are kind of there for me to jump onto.
Well, if you get to be there through the winter, that I didn't know. I thought maybe you were just there for a week or two. If you get to be there for a few months, there's no reason to worry about what's coming. You just take it
Oh
one
yeah.
at a time.
Yeah, I'll be here for a little while, and that too was even um, kind of weird, because I had it in my mind for a little bit that, yeah, I just wanted to ride for as long as I could. And I probably could have continued to ride, and go down south and kind of keep things working. But like I said, right now, after being here and talking with Tim and learning the small bit that I have so far, it feels right. And so, you got to listen to that feeling and kind of sit and see what happens. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I feel good
Oh,
though.
and I'm jealous. When I had the coffee house, so this has been a good 15 years ago. Wow, time flies. But Tim came in there way, like, as soon as we began, and I always loved my conversations with him because he thought out of
Mm-hmm.
the box. He traveled, he spoke from his heart, he was very intentional. So
Yeah.
anytime he'd come through, there was quite a few of us that were excited because just the conversation with him alone was rewarding. And I
Yeah.
remember one day we were talking about environmental stuff, and he said, you know, he goes, I have a suggestion for you, just to consider. And I said, okay. He goes, you offer the sugar and the raw, you know, it's a really good gesture, but it's in paper packets. Do you know how many trees you're killing? And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
wow, I feel really small and stupid.
Yeah.
So from that point on, I always buy sugar in bulk, and it goes in a glass jar to be dispensed,
Hmm.
no packets.
Yeah.
So 15 years later, Tim still is in my head about do
That's
not kill the
awesome.
trees with my sugar packets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And yeah, I love that. That's such a cool example. Those little interactions that you have with people that, you know, I'm interested to hear if he remembers that interaction or
Yeah.
not, and how it stuck with you. And, definitely, yeah, it makes you kind of think, how am I affecting folks? I want to make sure I'm not affecting somebody in like a negative way like that I don't remember, but they have it very strong in their mind. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, he's such a great dude. I'm so excited to be learning from him. And yeah, he just has so much kind of knowledge that I always have. We talk every day and every night and stuff. And there'll be times where I'm reading books that he's given me right now, and I'll be reading and I'll have questions or things I kind of want to talk about. And, I'll have 5 or so topics that I want to discuss with him, and then we start talking on one for the whole night, and then I just kind of forget about everything else until we stop talking. I'm like, oh crap. But the fact that we can dive in so deep just so easily too with whatever subject it is a very cool feeling. Something I haven't had in a while, I feel like, is that kind of direct, like, in-person mentor, I guess, like that. Yeah, it's very, very cool and exciting to have.
No, and now I'm going to have to bug him on instant message and see if I can interview him for the nonprofit because he's got an awesome story to inspire people. So,
Yeah, you'll
yeah.
have to cut out a good chunk of time. That's
Oh, I know. He reminds me a lot of, like, my hero is Steve Earle, and no one can ask that man a question and have it answered in 30 seconds. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't happen. If you're going to talk with Steve Earle, you're going to allow some time because it's going to go here and there and there. And when it's done, you are going to be blown away, but it's not going to be short.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
love that. And especially the folks that can give those long roundabout answers like that, but the whole time you're so just focused and intrigued in what they're saying. And yeah, there's a lot to learn from people like that.
No, and I love the synchronicity of it too, because, you were in my coffee shop years ago. I've known you since you were like 6, known
Yeah.
your family forever. And then I've known Tim, and now here it all comes full circle. I'm interviewing you at Tim's, hoping to interview him. So
Yeah.
life is pretty great.
Yeah, it is. It's funny how everything is interwoven like that in
Yeah.
ways that we don't even realize.
So what else is on your mind outside of trees and synchronicity of life? Anything else?
um, I don't know. Um, I guess since I haven't been thinking about the future too much, but there's little ideas kind of going through my mind.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I've been looking at lately, I I have such kind of polar opposites in my mind that are constantly battling each other. And so like I said, I want to stay here. I feel very good here, but I do miss riding my bike a lot. And so,
Understand.
I've been here for a week. I haven't really ridden on it at all. And so I've kind of already been looking at possible routes for possible future trips. I was looking it up, and like I said, this last route that I did was 2,800 miles. And technically, if you were to stay on the interstates, and drive from the coast of California to the coast of Maryland, that would be about just over 3,000 miles. So I would have, less than 1,000 miles of what I did ride to go coast to coast. So that really got the gears going in my mind, and I've been looking at routes for that. I did the half the country. Why not do the full thing now?
Exactly. Go big or go home.
Yeah. And I would get to kind of cross through Nebraska at the midway point and see friends and family and stuff too. So I'm kind of thinking about doing that. But yeah, right now I'm definitely just focused on climbing trees and kind of seeing what opportunities that open up as well. And then this upcoming week, it worked really well. The timing was perfect. So today through Thursday is my course. And then Friday we'll, have an off day. And then on Saturday is what is called the Big Canopy Campout.
Okay.
Which is kind of an international thing. People all over the world will be climbing trees and camping in the canopy that day. But I will have just gained all the skills that I need to be able to do so. And I'm here, living on Tim's land. And so people are going to come out here, and we all are going to go out and climb into the trees and set up these 4-point hammocks. It's kind of like a boat that you lay in and you can sleep, and we're going to camp out in the canopy. And I get to kind of introduce myself and meet all these other tree climbers in the community and people from not only Oregon, but kind of all over the country that will be coming out to do this. And so I'm very excited about that. That just kind of brings in all these people that have a similar passion, but their backgrounds are so diverse. And Tim talks about all the time. He says, the trees bring people together, and he sees it kind of more so than we do, I guess, teaching the courses. But he's like, every student that I have is a very unique individual, coming from country to city to wealthy to not to, all sorts of pursuits that they want to use the tree climbing skill to chase after. And so I'm very excited to kind of meet all these different folks that all have a similar passion for being out in nature and climbing the trees, but kind of talk to them all about how they got here, and they're each individual path is always a good time to talk about.
I got goosebumps when you told me that. I was like, oh yeah. I felt that. That's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many people does he normally have turn out for that? Do you know?
I think usually he'll have, I don't remember. I think I remember him saying usually it's about like 30 or so just that come out to his property and climb. Awesome. This year it's probably not going to be nearly as many, maybe under 10, just because of COVID and everything. Yeah. But and it's easy because there's tons of trees out here, and I mean each person kind of picks a branch, so even when we're up in the same tree, we're distant from each other, so we don't have to worry about that too much.
No, one of the safer things you could be doing for sure, especially if you can drive out there yourself. That's a perfectly safe thing to do. And I know COVID has been challenging, and I mean, in my world, like I haven't taught more than 12, maybe 15 yoga classes since March. And I used to teach 5 a week. So it's definitely shifted my life and shifted my income, but just, I don't know, I guess the simplicity of things that's coming out of it, and that ability to get outside, like that's what COVID is teaching us. No matter what we find out, the answer is if you're outside, that's one of the safer places to be. And I really like that, because while air conditioning and heat and all that stuff is such a luxury that a lot of people cannot afford, it's really refreshing. Like science supports, there's numerous studies that show sunlight, getting outside, is stronger for depression than an antidepressant, for anxiety, for seasonal affective disorder. I feel like if we allow it to, COVID can kind of take us back home.
Yeah.
stop being angry about it. So I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of things to be learned from this time.
Yeah, it's definitely been a wake up call for, yeah, physical and mental health and all the things that people have been telling each other for years, but nobody actually took the advice, like
Yeah.
get outside, eat good food, spend time in the trees and out in the sun. Yeah, there's truth to that. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's better to be able to kind of find that truth a little bit more.
Nice.
And yeah.
Well, no, we'll definitely have to keep checking in with you while you're out there just to see what comes your way, how you decide that this is going to work into your world. And it'll just be fun to hear about the different plans or the different things that you go between as you have to be still. And
Mhm.
then in the spring, see which one you actually pick and where you end up.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I'm excited too that since I am going to be in this one kind of area for a while, I'll be still, but I'm not going to be sitting around by any means.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I'll still be, sharing things online with folks as well. Whether it's tree climbing or going around doing hikes or little weekend biking trips. There's still a lot of incredible land and opportunity out here. So I definitely want to go and explore that and still be able to kind of share that with folks. So even though, yeah, I'm not on bicycle tour right now, I'm not just going to be kind of quietly disappear back into the
No.
void of social media. I'll try and stick out there and keep sharing things with everybody and trying to help inspire some folks.
Well, I mean, you've definitely, every time I get off a talk with you, I am itching and jonesing and trying to figure out, while I love my life, how do I simplify more so I can have that freedom? Because I love what I do. I love my building. I love my cats. I don't want to lose or let go of any of that, but I do want the freedom to have 2 weeks or a month where I hike or camp or get on a bike or just get in my car and drive and see where I end up. I miss
Mhm.
that. In my 20s, I did that in between college. Like anytime I could get a free minute, I was gone. And
Yeah.
as you get older, it's not bad, but you just take on more responsibilities and you don't recognize how much of an obligation they are, good, bad, or indifferent. And
Yeah,
there's just things you sacrifice or you lose sight of. And I think some of those things are the things that really feed our souls and keep our fire going. So,
definitely. But yeah, like you said, you definitely do have to kind of think outside of the box and be rather creative about how to get the time or the money or whatever it might be. But there are so many options of in different ways. Talking with all the bikers and van life folks and just kind of adventurous people that I've met and continue to meet like online. Um, Same way, which is it's because you can do whatever you want and do it however you want, but at the same time, there's not ABC. This is how you do it to be able to go on this trip.
right.
Everything is very unique to the individual, but um, that also makes it so you can kind of tailor it to exactly what you need. But it's not easy. It does take a lot of effort and a lot of thinking, and but yeah, it's like you said, what are your priorities and what are you kind of willing to hold on to or give up in order to do so. And that varies for each person. And so it's all about just kind of figuring it out for yourself.
Yeah. I'm working on training my kitten because there's a musician, Jeremy Arndt. He plays handpan, wonderful relaxation music. He's
Mm,
on YouTube, he's on iTunes.
yeah.
And they have a cat that travels with them everywhere, in the
Yeah.
car, like in the kayak. And I thought that, yep, Lucy and I are working on it right now. We've been backpacking. She does
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
So I figure, that makes it a whole lot easier to leave. If Lucy likes hanging out in the car, then she and I can just go.
Yeah. Very
So
cool. That's
yeah,
exciting. Do you take her on a leash or like?
I put her in the backpack for now. We've tried playing with putting a leash on her, but she thinks it's a toy because she's
Oh yeah.
like 5.5 months. So Yeah, I figure we'll wait, 7 or 8 months, kind of keep revisiting it until eventually she
Yeah,
stops wanting to attack it.
yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool though. That's very cool.
I think so. I'll give it a try. Why not? Awesome. Well,
I hope
thank
it works.
you. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. And, in a week or two, we'll find you again and tell Tim and his family hi, and that I'll be harassing him too.
Definitely. Maybe next time we'll do the interview up in a tree or something if I
Yeah.
can.
And Rowan, if people want to
Yeah.
ask you questions or if they want to donate to your trip, how do they do that?
Yeah. So I recently had to change things, so I'm glad that you asked this. Now all my social media is Rowan on the go, with an underscore in between each word. So Rowan underscore on underscore the underscore go.
Okay.
But that's where I am on Instagram. And that's what my donation tag is as well. So for PayPal, for Cash App, and then Facebook and stuff as well. You can donate through there. But
Okay.
yep, Rowan Mitchell or Rowan on the go. And that's
Awesome.
where I'll be. Yeah.
Cool. You'll be getting our donation here shortly because we want to keep you going. So again, thank you for taking time to
Well,
talk with
thank
us.
you. Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Okay. Well, sleep well. Enjoy the forest.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.